Welcome to Valenzuela Live Mathematics for Grade 8. I am here again, Sir L.D. Francisco from Gente de Leon National High School, your every life teacher for the day. If on the previous topic, we have learned a lot about linear functions, today we are going to discuss about solving word problems involving linear function. And we are now on the 5th week of the second quarter. And for today's objective, at the end of the session, you should be able to solve problems involving linear functions. But before we begin, let us first recall the definition of linear function. And what is it? Okay, good. Linear function is a function that can be written in the form f of x equals mx plus b, where m and b are real numbers. In solving word problems involving linear functions, it is important to identify the independent variable and dependent variable. What are independent and dependent variables? The independent variable or the variable x is the input to the function, while the dependent variable is, or the variable y, is the output of the function. And for us to be familiarized to independent variable and dependent variable, let us have a short drill entitled Spot the Independent. So you are going to determine the underlined word or words whether it is an independent variable or a dependent variable. Just type independent or dependent at the comment section below. Okay. Are you ready? That's good. Let's go. First situation. A rider charges 30 pesos for delivery service and 380 pesos for every kilo of pork. How much will be the total charge for buying 5 kilos of pork? And the underlined words are every kilo of pork. Is it an independent variable or a dependent variable? Go! If your answer is independent, then you are correct. Very good. And what do you think is the dependent variable? Very good. That is the total charge, which is dependent to the weight of the pork. Okay. Next. Second. JC rented a bike in Burnham Park. He paid a fixed amount of 20 pesos and an additional of 10 pesos per hour. How much did he pay if he used the bike for 3 hours? The underlined words are how much did he pay or the total payment. Is it an independent variable or a dependent variable? Comment now. If your answer is dependent, then you are correct. Very good. And what do you think now is the independent variable? Okay, good. These are the words for R. Next problem. Okay, we have now for R, which is our independent variable. Okay, next problem. Marlene wants to go to her friend's house and needs to ride a tricycle. The fare for a special trip riding a tricycle from Gente de Leon to Ugong is 24 pesos for the first kilometer, and an additional of 4 pesos for every kilometer. How much would she pay, if she travels a total of 3 kilometers? The underlined words are how much would she pay? Is it an independent or dependent variable? Comment your answer now. Okay. If your answer is dependent, then you are correct. Very good. And how about the independent variable? Alright. The independent variable is every kilometer. Okay. Then, for the next problem, we have Paulo has a commission of 8% on all sales above 100,000 pesos. What is his commission in a month when his sales amounted to 506,550 pesos? The underlined words are all sales. Is it an independent or dependent variable? Comment now. Very good. The answer is independent variable. And what do you think is the dependent variable? Alright, that is the commission, which is dependent to all sales above 100,000 pesos. Okay? Next, it is also important in solving word problems involving linear function, especially in money problem, to identify the rate and the fixed cost. So, what is rate and fixed cost in linear function? Rate is the change in y over the change in x, or the slope of the line, while the fixed cost is the y-intercept of the linear function. Now, to know more about rate and fixed costs, let us have a fast exercises. Kindly help me to identify the rate and the fixed cost in the given problem from the previous drill. Are you ready? That's good. So, let us have the first problem. Which do you think is the rate in this problem? Yes, that is 380 pesos per kilo. Very good. Next, how about the fixed cost? Thank you. That is 30 pesos. Second problem. What do you think, or which do you think is the rate in this problem? Yes, that is 10 pesos per hour. And how about the fixed cost? Okay, very good. That is 20 pesos. Third problem. Which do you think is the rate in this problem? Yes? Okay. That is 4 pesos per kilometer. And obviously, the fixed cost in this problem is, yes, 24 pesos. Last problem. Let us have this problem. Which do you think is the rate? Very good. That is 8%. And how about the fixed cost? Thank you. The fixed cost is 0. There is no fixed cost in this problem. Since you already know how to determine the independent and dependent variable in the given problem, and how to identify the rate and the fixed cost, we will now try to solve word problems, but this time with the application of linear functions. So we're now going to proceed on solving word problems involving linear functions. And here are the steps in solving word problems involving linear function. First is through representation. You are going to assign variables like x for the independent and y for the dependent. And then find the rate and fixed cost in the problem. And it can also be a formula or a mathematical sentence. Step 2 is the solution. In this step, you have to solve for the independent variable. And last, after the solution, is the final answer. Don't forget to always express your answer or final answer completely. By applying the steps in solving linear functions, let's go back to the first problem and try to solve it. Problem number 1. A rider charges 30 pesos for delivery service and 380 pesos for every kilo of pork. How much will be the total charge for buying 5 kilos of pork? How about 10 kilos of pork? First step, representation. And let X be the kilos of pork as the independent variable. And let Y be the total charges, which is our dependent variable. And we need to find for the rate, which is, okay, good, 380. And our fixed rate or fixed cost is 30. Then we will come up with the equation Y equals 380x plus 30. After representation, we have now with the solution. So if X is 5, which is 5 kilos of pork, then substitute to the equation Y equals 380x plus 30. First, change Y to f of X. F of X equals 380x plus 30. Next, by substitution, we will have now f of 5 equals 380 times 5 plus 30. Next, simplifying, f of 5 equals 1,900 plus 30. And we will have now f of 5 equals 1,930. So for the 10 kilos of pork, let us have now if X is 10. Then, substitute to the equation Y equals 380x plus 30. So if X is 10, let us proceed to change Y to f of X. So we will have now f of X equals 380x plus 30. And by substitution, f of 10 equals 380 times 10 plus 30. Then, by simplifying, we will have f of 10 equals 3,800 plus 30. And we will have now f of 10 equals 3,830. So, for the final answer, 1,930 pesos is the total charge for the 5 kilos of pork and 3,830 pesos for 10 kilos of pork. Next, problem number 2. JC rented a bike in Burnham Park. He paid a fixed amount of 20 pesos and an additional 10 pesos per hour. How much did he pay if he used the bike for 3 hours? Representation. So let X be the number of hours. Let Y be the amount he paid for renting a bike. And our rate is 10. Then, our fixed cost is 20. So, we will have now an equation of Y equals 10x plus 20. Okay. Then, let us move to the solution. Step number 2. So, if X is 3 or 3 hours, then substitute to the equation Y equals 10x plus 20. Then, change Y to f of X. So, we have now f of X equals 10x plus 20. Then, by substitution, we will have f of 3 equals 10 times 3 plus 20. Simplify, we will have f of 3 equals 30 plus 20. Then, f of 3 is equal to 50. So, for our final answer, 50 pesos is the amount he paid for renting a bike for 3 hours. Next, problem number 3. Marlene wants to go to her friend's house and she needs to ride a tricycle. The fare for a special trip riding a tricycle from Gente de Leon to Ugong is 24 pesos for the first kilometer and an additional of 4 pesos for every kilometer. How much would she pay if she travels a total of 3 kilometers? Representation, our x or let x be the number of kilometers. Let y be the total fare in riding a tricycle for a certain kilometers. And our rate is 4. And our fixed cost is 24. Then we will have now an equation of y equals 4 times quantity x minus 1 plus 24. Minus 1 because we need to subtract first kilometer to the total kilometers. Okay, next is solution. So, if she travels a total of 3 kilometers, so x equals 3, then substitute to the equation y equals 4 times quantity x minus 1 plus 24. Now, let us first change y to f of x again. So, f of x equals 4 times quantity x minus 1 plus 24. Next is substitution. F of 3 equals 4 times quantity 3 minus 1 plus 24. And by simplifying, 3 minus 1, that is 2. So we have f of 3 equals 4 times 2 plus 24. Next, we will have 4 times 2 is 8. So f of 3 equals 8 plus 24. And we will come up with f of 3 equals 32. Okay. Now, with that, our final answer is 32 pesos is the total fare in riding a tricycle for 3 kilometers. Problem number 4, or our last problem. Paulo has a commission of 8% on all sales about 100,000 pesos. What is his commission in a month when his sales amounted to 506,550 pesos? Okay, so for the representation, let x be the sales in a month. And let y be the total commission in a month. And our rate is 8% or 8 hundredths. Then, our fixed cost is 0. So, we will have now an equation of y equals 8 hundredths times quantity x minus 100,000. We subtract 100,000 from the total sales. Okay. Next, solution. So, we will have this if x is equal to 506,550, then substitute to the equation y equals 8 hundredths times quantity x minus 100,000. So, we need to change y to f of x. So, f of x equals 8 hundredths times x minus 100,000. And by substitution, we will have f of 506,550 equals 8 hundredths times quantity 506,550 minus 100. And by simplifying, we will have f of 506,550 equals 8 hundredths times 406,550. And we will come up with f of 506,550 equals 32,524. So, our final answer is 32,524 is his commission in a month when his sales amounted to 506,550 pesos. And now, to wrap up our today's discussion, which you can also take a screenshot of the following important things to remember. First, we have the linear function or the definition of linear function, which is a function that can be written in the form f of x equals mx plus b, where m and b are real numbers. Next, we have the independent variable and then the dependent variable. The independent variable is the input to the function, and the dependent variable is the output of the function. We also have the rate and the fixed cost. The rate is the change in y over the change in x, or the slope of the line. And the fixed cost is the y-intercept of the linear function. And last, we also have the steps in solving word problems involving linear functions. First, the representation, when you are going to assign x as the independent variable and y for the dependent variable. And we also we need to find the rate and the fixed cost. And we can be written as a formula or a mathematical sentence. Next is solution. And the last is final answer, that you're going to express your answers completely. Now, let us proceed to the question and answer part. But since we are running out of time, I already picked one of the most frequently asked questions regarding this topic. And the question is, are there any other methods or strategies in solving word problems involving linear functions aside from representation of variables? The answer is yes. Actually, there are various methods and strategies that can be used in solving word problems involving linear functions, such as the use of table of values. You can also do the guess and check, or sometimes called trial and error, TAE. Okay, acting out the problem is also one, in which you are going to physically act out what is taking place in a word problem. These are just some of the common used strategies in solving word problems. Remember that there are different ways, different approaches, different strategies in solving word problems. But what is important is you know what problem-solving strategies and tools are appropriate for that particular word problem. Now, if you have further questions about our topic, you can note down your question and ask your subject teacher on your follow-up classes tomorrow. And for your assignment, answer Mathematics 8, Quarter 2, Module 5 assessment in your learning packet. So, that will be all for today. Thank you for listening and your active participation. Keep safe, everyone. Goodbye.